欢迎大家参与今天本日的同步口译职涯经验分享。今天我们邀请到毕业的 Scully 王怡文学姐来跟各位分享自身在美国矽谷工作的经验。本讲座配合同步口译，各位同学练习会有短暂换场休息哦，再请大家见谅。
Scully majored in English at Gonzalo College of Languages and graduated from our department at Suzhou University. And she also studied for her master's degree in public relations at Michigan State University. And she is an event marketing and operations professional with over 10 years of experiences in the technology industry. She had worked with famous brands like Chanel, Swarovski, or Nike. And now she is a senior manager at Intel headquarters and leads a team of 6, focusing on the global event strategy for the PC industry and crafting product demonstrations. And without further ado, let's welcome Scully.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon, my dear schoolmates, teachers, and other online audience. It's my honor and pleasure being here today to share my career growth and work experience in Silicon Valley. I remember about 15 years ago, I was also sitting in one of the 3 interpretation chambers. And I believe it's the first generation practice room in a large conference room. There I was doing a simultaneous interpretation for one of the 3 guest speakers. Now I'm sitting on the other side, delivering a speech, not in person, but in a virtual format. So time really flies. And I have to say, the COVID indeed changed the way we do things. I hope after my today's presentation, you will walk away with insights and knowledge of the following 4 areas. The first one is life as being an event planner, life as working in Silicon Valley, how to land a job in the US, and how to find your ideal job. So this is me. My Chinese name is Yiwen Wen. Because my Chinese name, first name, is so difficult for foreigners to pronounce, I found my preferred English name from an American TV show called The X-Files. The leading actress's name in the show is Dana Scully. And then that last name, Scully, caught my attention. And I felt it really empowers me for some reason and that can boost my confidence. Therefore, I took the name and the people around me all agreed this name really suits me well. I had a 5-year college degree at Windsor-Ursuline College. And then I took a transfer exam and successfully entered Suzhou University. I believe it is essential for my education resume to include a formal, universally recognized bachelor degree from a well-established university. After that, I pursued my master under communication school at Michigan State University. Additionally, I hold 2 certificates. Six Sigma is a certification system to validate your ability managing budget, revenue, and inventory in a cost-efficient way. On the other hand, PMP, or Project Management Professional, is a popular credential that many international corporations will require or suggest to have when you apply for a project management position. PMP training will enable you to manage multiple large projects at the same time in a systematic and organized way. Both certifications are worldwide recognized and good for people who are interested in job project or program management. In terms of my career, My very first two jobs were in Taiwan. I was an account executive at Join PR agency and then a PM at Sender Electronics. Sender Electronics is an LED company. They manufacture LED circuit board. My later two jobs are in the United States, where I truly hone my skill sets in event planning and understand the fascinating secrets of Silicon Valley. So I want to start with how I became an event planner. I think it all started when I was a student at Windsor. I was the executive director for our class's graduation stage drama. I didn't have a picture here because we didn't have a digital camera or smartphone back then. And then during the year of graduation at Suzhou, I was the leading coordinator for the interpretation class for the end of class performance demonstration. Back then, I didn't know those two roles at school paved my way to the event planning and being a manager. I only knew that I enjoyed leading a group of people and celebrating the result of a group effort. This reminds me of what Steve Jobs mentioned in one of his speech at Stanford University commencement in 2005. He didn't realize the calligraphy class he took at school helped him develop Apple's first generation PC, Macintosh, with the most beautiful built-in typeface in operating system. For his speech in Stanford, if you haven't heard of it, I highly encourage you to listen to it on YouTube. My starting salary at the PR agency back at the time was less than 30,000 new Taiwan dollars per month. I didn't mind it at all because it was in 2008. That's the Great Recession. And then Great Recession is an economic downturn similar to what we're experiencing right now, but worse. Job openings were scarce. I knew that time I was just a fresh out graduate school. And for PR agency jobs, they don't care the school you went to. They only care the years of job experience you have. So even though the pay wasn't good enough, I still took the job offer, thinking experience weighs more than compensation in value when one is young in age. I wanted to be a sponge and grasp every learning opportunity. There are two types of event planner. First is working at an agency. The other is working inside a company or so-called in-house. It is hard to say which one suits you more, depending on what your personality is and what you pursued in career. Yet I'll suggest you to start with an agency because it's easier to land a job there and you will learn most within a short period of time. Then after 2 or 3 years, you have the experience about what and the how to throw a successful event. And then you are equipped with basic skill sets and the right mindset. After that, it will be easier to move on to a corporation where you will learn why companies do events from a business strategic way. And you will have a wider promotion and career development opportunity. As many agencies are smaller in scale, and after a while, you will feel you are repeating yourself doing the same work model, but only with different clients. You have relatively less chance for moving up into a leadership role. But if you're a person like to work with different groups every single time and enjoy being on the supplier side rather than on the buyer side, then you should stay at the agency. I'll say try both types of a role before you make the final call for your career path. At the PR agency, you do everything. Everything, I mean, from writing a project proposal, composing the press release, design the media invitation, and which media to invite. You place orders for venue, food and beverage, event decorations, and giveaways. You manage which celebrities or KOLs to invite. You manage attendance, transportation, and accommodation. And all of this I just mentioned are only prior to the show. When I was on site, because I was in a boutique agency, I was required to wear makeup, a smile, a little black dress, and heels at all times. I worked super long hours, standing mostly, and sometimes even kneeling down on the ground, holding a handful of microphones for press with my shaking arms when the stars or the singers are doing a group interview. For Swarovski fashion show for the Asia Pacific area, I remember I got home around 3 a.m. in the morning and took a quick shower and had only 1 hour sleep before I woke up and arrived at the venue at 7 a.m. on the same day for the show. At the Chanel Gala dinner, we were being tasked to remember all 30 Chanel VIPs' names and their faces so that we could call them by names when we received them upon their arrivals. After joining ASUS and then later Intel, doing event as in-house, I realized event is all about manage stakeholders' expectation. No events can be perfect. There are always hiccups here and there and the room to improve. The success of the event depends largely on if you can make the stakeholders satisfied or not. Stakeholders are your boss, your boss's boss, your colleagues, and the event attendees. They evaluate the event as a whole, whether the registration process is smooth, the speaker's content is interesting, the activities are engaging, or the food tastes good. They took into every component of the event and give a final total score. So as an event planner, you need to strive for perfection on each aspect. Again, I'm not saying you need to be perfect, but you need to strive for it. So this is the end of my first section. So time for the team to do the swap. First, I want to start by sharing the status of the work environment in the US before and after the pandemic. Before the COVID-19 breakout, we worked 5 days a week in an office environment, just like everyone else in Taiwan. We can have a clear separation between work and life. In office, you work. At home, you relax and spend time with family. The industry was also pretty defined by its geographic locations. For instance, on the East Coast, you're gonna get the most financial jobs in politics, education, and the pharmaceutical industry. On the West Coast, that's where you pursued the technology or biotech. On the South, there's tons of entertainment job and the hospitality job. And then in the Midwest, then there's manufacturing, wholesale, and research. As an employee, you also have less negotiation power on compensation package. So it's all before the pandemic. Now, the pandemic has disturbed the entire labor force and changed our work habits. I have Intel colleagues working from medical now, looking over the beautiful sand beach every single day, and they are not from Mexican office. You can be hired as a Google or Meta software engineer in New York or in Florida, even though your boss or office is located in California. It doesn't really matter where you work now. What matters more is your own mental health. There's no clear boundary of work and life anymore. Your home is your office. I can hear often babies crying, dogs barking, and see my colleagues, family walking behind on the screen. But we're so used to it now. We're so used to turning on camera, speaking in front of camera, and bearing with people who have spotty Wi-Fi connection. Yet this changes exhaust people. We feel we are working all the time because our home is our office. We lose the chance running into colleagues at the coffee corner or on the hallways or in the elevator. It takes longer to build trust and closer ties with your colleagues. And it's especially even harder for people who are onboarded virtually like me. On top of that, the war between Russia and Ukraine brought a toll to the world economics. It is challenging for employees to apply for new jobs due to the hiring freeze or pause from coast to coast. But it's also challenging for employers to backfill entry-level jobs or labor-intensive jobs because job applicants are asking for a higher pay nowadays. No one can predict when the US economy can start to look optimistic and the end of the country, or when we can end the countrywide layoff. It will be very interesting to see how the COVID variants and the Russian-Ukraine war will unfold in the next couple of months. So no matter how the war or the pandemic will trend into which direction, at least something we do know is that the work culture in the US will remain the same. In order to survive working in the US and get promotions, you need to keep in mind what I'm going to share and start to practice them now. It doesn't matter if you are in Silicon Valley or New York metropolis. These 5 rules of thumb will get you a long way if you want to have a career in the US. First, you need to have courage and find chances to raise questions or speak up at the meeting. This way, you can increase your visibility and build up credibility. No question is a stupid question in the United States. Your manager will appreciate you speaking up and perhaps bringing some fresh ideas or new perspectives. Second is the critical thinking and the logical thought process are the 2 areas I think the school in Taiwan should teach our students when they are young. When there's an issue or problem happened, you need to think it logically and look into the root cause. Don't resolve it only from a surface level. Find out what's the original cause and how it led to the outcome. This way, it can prevent the issue from happening again. The critical thinking is more for the rule number 3, I have it here. You need to have critical thinking so you can fight for your idea with strong reasons, not with your raising voice, not with your banging a fist on the table. When I want to get my proposal across the board or acquire my managers for approval, oftentimes I provide 3 reasons in bullet points. And all 3 are critical ones, and it can impact from individuals to cross-functional teams. Point number 4. Point number 4 is the thing I like most about US culture, is people respect the area of expertise. It doesn't matter if you are being a graphic designer, a project contractor, or subordinate. All this doesn't necessarily translate in a way that you are less than others. In fact, Americans value every comment you brought to the table, and that they will decide all together what's the best for the situation. There's no top-down decision makings. Most agreements are reached by a number of meetings or email exchanges. Although it drags down the entire process and timeline, the decisions tend to be bulletproof, and the result is it results in less disputes because everyone's voice is heard. The last rule, but not the least, is to fake it until make it. It's especially important when you are new to the company, but you have to apply it with caution. Don't abuse it. I'm not asking you to pretend you know something that you actually don't know, but you manage it in a way that you are proactively reporting on it and currently reaching out to XYZ to figure out a solution. And then you also provide a tentative timeline when you can solve this problem. You need to show to your manager that you are still on it, but with slow progress. In the meantime, you do everything you can to find 2 to 3 solution options before presenting them to your manager. This is what I call manage appearance versus you manage execution. So now we have heard about the US culture in general. Now I want to jump into some other cultures that are unique to Silicon Valley. First, where's Silicon Valley? Silicon Valley is not a city name. It's a Bay Area located in Northern California, and it consists of many major cities you probably already heard of. San Francisco, San Jose, Berkeley, and Oakland. And let me show you where I am right now. So I'm here. I'm at the tip of South Bay right here. As you can see on the map, Silicon Valley is the home and headquarters for so many prestigious international corporations, including Apple, Google, Facebook, now Meta, Tesla, Netflix, Yahoo, Intel, AMD, NVIDIA, and many more. You may wonder why. What makes it so special? Because Silicon Valley is not just an area name. It's a culture. It's an attitude that you can find it anywhere. You can't find it, you can't find it anywhere else in the US. So what kind of culture? It's the culture of entrepreneur that it all started within a garage. You probably heard some of the stories already. The CEOs here tend to be younger, not driven by family business, and that they are willing to roll up sleeves with their fellow co-workers. And that they encourage them to be innovative, to think outside the box, and bring in breakthrough or even useless ideas. But it doesn't matter. They listen and appreciate your input. What kind of attitude? You proactively and consistently find ways to network and opportunities to make friends and then sell yourself. Additionally, you have a more laid-back, chilled style that you are able to work with cross-time zones teams, while you can still find time for outdoor activities, such as jogging, cycling, hiking, snowboarding, skiing, surface, kayaking, paddleboarding, and even wine tasting. These outdoor activities help you balance between work and life and bring your creativity and energy. So if you want to be a marketer or software engineer in tech, you definitely want to come to Bay Area and give it a try. If you want to stay academic in biotech, then Bay Area is also one of the top options besides of Boston or East Coast. So here's the wrap of my section 2. So I'm gonna pause here to allow the team to switch. Okay, thank you, Austin. So now you have heard about the US culture and the work environment, plus what makes Silicon Valley so special. Now, let me give you some tips of how to land a job in the US. All job applications start with a killing resume. The rule number one, you need to have a modern template. Keep it organized, keep it clean and simple, and to the point. Start with a summary section, like here, and then followed by the skills you want to highlight that are relevant to the positions you are applying. Then if you receive some degrees from a reputable colleges, then you can place the education section before the work history. If you have impressive internship or volunteer experiences or work history, then you can put the education section at the bottom. And don't forget to add your full name, location, not home address, a phone number, and an email on the top under your name. Rule number two, identify keywords in the job description. Keywords are those showing up in your job description repetitively. For instance, for my job at Intel, the keywords I notice are strategy, innovation, creativity, and being organized. So weave in those keywords into your resume. Because the fact is that your resume nowadays is firstly reviewed by a robot, or we call applicant tracking system, ATS. The more keywords you have in your resume, the higher chance your resume will be popped up at the top and being forwarded to the hiring manager or HR department. Number three is to incorporate some numbers or specific information you did in the past. So I have an example here. If you are HR manager or hiring manager, tell me which one you like the most. So I have a number one, a candidate said, I manage events from end to end, period. Candidate number two, I manage over 10 business trade shows from end to end, including budgeting, social media, and post-event analysis. The answer is obvious. Number four, no typos or misinformation or a template that is off. Ask your friends or families to triple review your resume for you. Avoid using any fancy fonts or graphics, and no need to include your profile picture. Rule number five, keep it short and sweet. Max 2 pages. Myself, I have over 10 years job experience. I still keep my resume to only 2 pages. And I remove those dated ones and the irrelevant information. Finally, don't slack. Don't be lazy. No one resume for all. You need to tailor and edit every single time when you apply for a different position. Again, it's all about how to make your resume ATS proof. So number two, it's LinkedIn. So this is pretty unique to the US industry. LinkedIn is an employment-oriented online services that is primarily used for professional networking. This service provides job seekers a platform to showcase your work portfolio and additional information you don't have space to include in your resume. This also helps employers and hiring managers to post jobs and look for the potential talents. So here are another 5 tips to have a killing LinkedIn profile. Number one, it's your headshot. It can be color, it can be black and white, but just no blurred images. no funking tops, no cutting half from a group picture, no weird background. This is also somewhere that the hiring managers or HR will go to look for a picture for the job candidates. Just keep this in mind. I see people skip in the second section where it's this one, about. So about is to showcase your summarizing skills. You need to know how to put your work experience in a nutshell with highlights. Number 3 is to match your LinkedIn profile with your work history on your resume. This is to show you are being honest and consistent. Number 4, there are some sections that I didn't show you here, but they are featured courses, licenses, and certifications. So you need to add as much information as you can to your LinkedIn profile. The more time and effort you put in on your LinkedIn profile, the higher chance you are visible to potential hiring companies and headhunters. Again, it's all about keyword algorithm. The more matches you have, the keywords, the higher chance your entire LinkedIn profile will be popped up to a hiring manager without you reaching out to them. They will actually reaching out to you. So every single day I receive at least one email from the companies I don't even know, or a LinkedIn message that either they are looking for a referral, they're offering a job opportunity, or asking for some professional assistance. And then last one, there are another 2 sections that you don't want to forget. It's skills and the recommendations, which I didn't show here because it's very long. It's a long page. But for those 2 sections, they are also important to be included, because if you want to have your current and previous colleagues review or validate your achievement and skills, that's the section to go that the hiring manager will look at. This can also show that you have a strong network in the industry and how popular you are. So another 2 areas you also need to look at in your early career years are volunteering and internship. So I have 2 volunteer experience here. The first one is Built by Girls. It's an online mentorship program that prepares the next generation of females to step boldly into tech industry. I was an advisor for 1.5 years, and I coached 5 girls to help them explore career possibilities, develop soft skills, and coach them, connect them with industry professionals. I'm also an active volunteer at Second Harvest Silicon Valley since the beginning of the pandemic. There, I sort and pack fresh produce and groceries for those in need. Companies in the US appreciate and encourage their employees to partake in volunteering activities because it shows you're a caring and a compassionate person. It also helps bring positivity to your company and lift the overall brand reputation. I'm lucky that I was able to land a job in the US without any internship experience. But for students and the college graduates, it is critical to gain some internship experience when you're at school or right after graduation, because it can serve you as a stepping stone into a full-time job or a contract job, and you can get a taste and the color of how the industry will look like. Here comes to the end of my section 3, so time to rotate. This is a shorter one. So now let's move on to the last 3 tips of landing a job in the US. So sometimes the success comes with a price. Not everyone can easily land a job without some money investment or professional help. If you don't, you're lucky. If you have been trying for 6 months or more and you still receive 0 job interviews, or you're just too shy to ask for help from your family or friends to review your resume and do mock-up interviews with you, then it's time to consider spending a few dollars in your job search. There are tons of resume reviewing tools online. You can easily just do a Google search. And then there are tons of interview coaching services out there as well. Find the ones that offer you free trials or free 30-minute consultations before you make a decision. Then you want to set a budget and a timeline for yourself for how much time and money you're willing to commit to the service. This way, the investment won't cost you an arm and a leg, and it also pushes you to work harder toward your goal of landing a job. The next tip will be an ongoing effort until you hit your retirement age. If you ask anyone in the United States how you landed your current job, I can almost guarantee that 7 or 8 out of 10 will say it's through a referral. Any well-established company in the US will have some sort of internal referral system that your family or friends can submit your resume to their company's career site and even send an email to the HR manager or to the hiring manager for higher visibility of your resume. It is the fastest way to stand out from hundreds of job applicants that a hiring manager may receive within a single week. To have a right and effective reference, you need to first build a strong career network strategically. You can look up online and find some career fairs or industry forums or industry conferences to go. Either they are complimentary or at cost. Again, investment into your career. You also want to make time to participate some after-work gatherings or company outings. It doesn't matter if it's a birthday, some bridal showers, or some baby revealing, the gender revealing party. At those occasions, you will be exposed to opportunities to get to know people more and understand their connections. Then you're selectively friend with people who are most successful in the area you like and gain their access and the knowledge. However, this has to be done with a genuine heart and the things in return. Never take advantage of people. Next is when you leave your previous job, you don't want to burn the bridge. The truth is that, no matter how shady your manager is or how lazy your coworkers are, it doesn't mean anything to you after you leave the company. Never think in a way that the exit interview will be the place for you to complain or say anything negative about the company. Because who knows, one day in the future, you might run into your former manager or colleagues in your next job. Or you go back to your previous employer for any reason. The next or the last tip is simple, but probably the most important out of the 6. It is practice, practice, and practice. You need to have few rounds of mock interviews with your family, friends, or the career coach you hired. There's also another way to have a complementary interview practice. It's you can apply some jobs that are less interested to you. This way, when you receive interview requests or opportunities from those companies, you can have a more real practice without worrying that you may screw it up. It costs you nothing. You can also watch YouTube videos for the interview tips for that particular company or for that particular industry. You also want to watch some interview videos or presentations that are delivered by the CEO or other executives of the company you're applying. You want to imitate the way they talk, the hand gestures, the words they use. This way, it will help you to talk that you are already one of their employees. To tell you are ready or not that for interview, you can record your interview practice and then listen to it. From there, you will know if you are fluent with your answers or not, or if you need to adjust your pitch, your intonation, or the word you chose. Listen to it. Don't be shy of listening or hearing your own voice. I was not good at that earlier, but now after a few practice, I think it's fine. It's to help you land a job successfully. And last, and needless to say, you need a proper attire for your interviews. Even if it's a virtual interview, you still need to make sure your top looks okay. And address in a way that suits the industry you are applying into. For marketing, avoid all black top and down, like suits and pants, that type of attire. You want to add some vibrant colors or fun patterns to your outfit. But if you're applying a job in finance or academia, then you can stay formal and in neutral colors. You can also wear the outfits that you are going to wear on the day of interview to feel comfortable, to get used to it when you speak in that outfit. And I believe here comes to the end of the section 4. So the interpretation team can do your last rotation. All righty. So here comes to the last section of my presentation. It is how to find your ideal job. How to find your ideal job. Not many people like professional athletes or famous actors or actresses or singers that mostly they know what they like at early on in their childhood. Majority of people like you and me, we figure out what we like to do or what our passion is by trying multiple different jobs until we figure it out. It is fine to have different trajectories before you reach year of 30 or 35. However, you don't want to change your jobs too often. Every 2 to 3 years is recommended, not 2 to 3 jobs within a year. And you don't want to have a career trajectories that don't overlap one another at all. All the work experiences on your resume have to somehow connect it in a meaningful way. For instance, my first job at the PR agency is about event planning and the management. And I had clients from the tech industry. And then my next job was a product manager in an LED company, which is about tech. And managing products have some similarities of managing events. Events and the products both have life cycles. Once the cycle ends, you move on to the next. That is the similarity. Besides, you want to have experiences working with a startup or a smaller agency or in a regional office. Then you also want to have experience with a large, complex corporations and in-house job and on the headquarters side. This way, you will notice you can do the comparison that you are being trained to have complete different viewpoints, mindsets, and skill sets. Then you will know what you like. And then here's a bonus point, and it applies well in the US. It's changing your job is the fastest way to give yourself a salary and a title promotion. But again, you need to space it out and then plan wisely. If you tried multiple jobs already and you still don't know what you like, then it's time to resort to some external assistance, such as the aptitude test. Some companies in the US also require to take during your hiring process. The first one is 16 personalities. I know it's very popular in Taiwan right now. The 16 personality types were created by Isabel Myers and Catherine Briggs. Myers and Briggs, they created this personality typology to help people discover their own strengths and gain a better understanding of how people are different. They divide people in 16 different types. Once you take this free test for about 10 minutes, you will be defined as one type. Then you will understand more clearly why you do the things you do. You will gain confidence in your strengths and be better able to make decisions that suit your true nature. The second aptitude test I recommend is Gallup Strength Finder. This test will help you identify 4 strength areas: strategic thinking, relationship building, influencing, and the executing. From there, instead of working on the areas you have less strength in, they encourage you to grow your strength in the areas you are the strongest and become a subject matter expert in that area. The last one is Career Feeder. Career Feeder was designed by leading psychologists to uncover the characteristics, strengths, and weaknesses of your personality in a work environment. The test has 2 versions, complimentary and paid. The test contains about 60 questions, I believe, and probably the longest among these 3 tests. So after taking 1 or 2 or 3, the aptitude test, and then you say, Scully, I still don't know what I want to do. Then I suggest reading these 2 books here, especially for those 2 in the middle of your career path, around 40, and you are sort of still confused what is going to be in the rest of your life. And you have a sense of urgency that you don't have any major achievements, or you missed some milestones in your life, and you want to leave some legacy before you depart from this world. Both books are written by the same 2 authors, Bill Burnett and Dave Evans, and they have copies in Chinese. Designing Your Life is published in 2016, and the authors came up a series of exercises to help readers structure their lives. The exercises are creative and thought-provoking. They teach readers how to reflect what happened to their life and then determine what they should do within their future. they can then generate a roadmap and plan how to accomplish their goals. After the success of designing your life, both authors collaborated again and wrote another book called Designing Your Work Life. They applied the same methodology like they created earlier and apply it to the place where we spend most of the time than anywhere else. That is workspace. And show readers how to create the job they want without necessarily leaving the job they already have. Both books can offer readers some practical and transformational ways to direct your work life and the personal life in a way you desire. So to sum up my sharings today, here are some key takeaways. In the first section, we talk about my life in the PR agency. It's okay to start your career low. Experiences weighs more than salary. In the second section about the life in the US and in the Silicon Valley, we talk about Silicon Valley is not just a name or a location. It's a culture and the attitude. The culture that's filled with entrepreneurs and innovative people. And the attitude that they value networking and being outdoorsy. In the third section, we talk about how to land a job successfully in the United States. And then I provide a couple of tips. So have an impressive resume and the LinkedIn profile. You also need to build a strong network and have some volunteering or internship experiences. And even invest some dollars in your job search. With all this in a solid spot, then you just need to practice. And the practice makes perfect. Lastly, to find your ideal job, you need to plan to have multiple jobs that have connections with one another. If you need to resort to some help, take an aptitude test or read one of the books I recommended. I wish all you can find your ideal job either in Taiwan or in the United States. Perhaps we will cross each other on one of the streets in Silicon Valley or in Taipei. So here comes to the end of my presentation. I really appreciate your time today, and I have my emails along with my social media links here. So I hope we can connect each other through one of the platforms in the future. Thank you.
非常谢谢，非常谢谢Scully学姐。我们先请所有的同学都从口译间出来。那等一下我们会一起进行 Q&A。那线上如果有观众想要提问，也非常的欢迎。好，我们现在同学都入座了。我首先要说啊，我们这个校友讲座举行1年半以来，我们真的很感谢有很多学长姐，奉献他们的时间来帮我们进行的非常精彩丰富的讲座。那今天呢，我们跨海连线，请 Scully 来担任我们的讲者，然后我充分的感受到，学姐的自信还有气场，就是全身上下就是充满了专业经理人的风采啊，真的非常的棒。除了内容非常的丰富之外，那节奏又非常的明快啊清楚，整个就是呈现如何成为一个专业的经理人啊。然后，那我们现在就是把时间交给我们的2位主持人，然后我们来看看同学这边或者是听众这边有没有什么问题。谢谢 Scully 学姐精彩演讲，然后相信大家在演讲中都得到了不少的收获，加上同学又做分数的练习，也可以说是很掌握今天演讲内容。那谢谢线上的听众以及讲者体谅中间的换场休息时间。
那讲座最后，同学们应该有一些蛮好奇的问题，想要请教 Scully 学姐。那希望大家不管是线上还是现场的朋友，都可以勇敢举手发问，因为跟学姐美国连线的机会很难得，所以就把握机会。那不要害羞，有问题就举手问。
And I can reply in Chinese if that's okay.
那没关系，他太害羞了。那我因为我事前先准备了一些问题，所以就是这边大概有3个问题可以请教学姐。第一个是说，因为当我们在过程中听到很多学姐分享的美国在面试啊什么的，就是准备 resume 的技巧，但是我们更想听到是学姐自己真实面试的经验，可不可以分享一下？谢谢。
我们的时间还好吧？哈，都可以哈，我们还有足够时间吗？
时间非常好，你把握的时间很好。
好。我的interview 经验呢，这一次从华硕换到英特尔是比较艰难的，因为大环境还是不是很好，然后又还是在 COVID 的时候，我是第一次，我相信大家都是第一次在 COVID 期间换工作，然后也是我第一次我不需要进公司里面做面试，我一切都是线上。那甚至有几场面试，我其实是在台湾做的。那时候我是跨海连线，从台湾call back 到 Intel， 然后大家都不知道。那这种大公司的面试流程是很 intensive 的，通常你会有5到7个 interview。这个过程从 hiring manager 做所谓的 screen interview， 就是 screen interview 就是很基本的问问你在哪里啊，确定你是真的人这样子，然后你是真的在华硕上班这样子，然后还有一些简单的一些问题，比如说你是不是可以legally work in the US， 因为身份会是我们这种移民最大的问题。那你过了这一关就会到下一关，那下一关呢，通常你第一个会遇到就是我们说的hiring manager， 通常就是你的 direct report， 就是你的直接老板叫 direct report， 那他就会面试，然后问你一些最基本的问题，大部分都是跟 job description 有关，然后接下来如果他 OK 的话，那你就会进入所谓的有时候会是有 panel interview， 就是同时可能会有3个人。然后每一场 interview 看公司，有时候是30分钟，有时候是到45分钟。然后我记得 Intel 的话，我面试了7场，然后每一场30分钟，所以还好。有时候他们就是一天大概就2场到3场。那我记得最累的是 NVIDIA 的每一场是45分钟，然后也是7个人，然后我其实一直认为我 NVIDIA 的机会很大，然后因为我其实认识其中里面的2、3个人，因为以前办活动的关系，他们也都知道我，这就是我说 networking 非常重要。那但是后来我以为我的胜算很大，但就没有，就中箭落马，而且我是面试到最后一关都是 VP level。但是就这种东西你很难预测，但唯一的诀窍就是你真的不能放弃，那个过程很长。我记得从华硕换到 Intel， 大概这中间历经了1年半，就是大家要有非常强的心理准备，因为大公司的面试真的很严格，那所以这些就是我刚才 share 的 tips 都是很重要的，就是每一个你都不能掉以轻心，因为你只要掉以轻心，你就很难进到大公司，除非你真的是什么名校常春藤毕业的，然后你有好几个什么硕士、博士学位那种，不然其实以我们这种不要说一般经历，就是真的大部分的人啦，就是大部分人其实就是这样，就其实你要进去真的很难。然后我很想要强调就是英文它只是一个 tool， 你一定要有专业一技之长。就是language 到最后它就是一个 tool that help you to land a job， 但是你一定要能发展出你额外的技能，这样才能帮助你在任何职场。我觉得不管你在台湾或是在美国，你一定要额外的一技之长，因为语言它只是一种工具而已。
谢谢学姐的鼓励，跟学姐很详细的跟我们介绍。那第二个是接续刚刚学姐刚刚说的，英文只是一个我们的tool。那作为非本科系的学生，如果未来我们也想要往商啊这方面走的话，像是学姐在这方面有遇到什么比较大的困难或是挑战？就是作为非本科系，但是要跨越到 一个完全没有接触过的领域的时候，对。
好，我觉得挑战就是你会从一个什么都不懂，你就是只是一个英文可能很厉害，但是你可能什么都不懂，但这时候就是你要花额外的时间。那我觉得各位很幸运的就是现在的网络真的很发达，你们有很多上网的资料，非常非常的充裕，就是你们要花时间，不管是做 Google Search 啊，看 YouTube，然后找时间去做各式各样的 volunteer。或是 internship，因为最主要是你要知道你喜欢什么，因为通常我们读这种语言本科出来的，就是你不知道做什么。那在学校的时候，你有很多机会参加社团活动，你有很多机会参加一些组织，你就可以从那里面去想说，诶，你是不是喜欢，还是你是不是讨厌？那你为什么喜欢？你为什么讨厌？很多时候不要只是去参加，然后就好很开心跟同学聊聊天，吃个饭，喝个饮料就走了。但是其实你可以静下心来想一下说，哦，你为什么会喜欢？你可以感觉到你的情绪，就是你为什么会喜欢做这件事，或你为什么不喜欢做这件事情。然后你就要尝试各种不一样的领域，然后去参加各式各样校外的组织，或是参加你朋友你在其他学校，如果他们有任何其他活动，你就是趁年轻真的去参加。就是我非常鼓励不要只待在书房里面，虽然我知道 pandemic， 但是还是尽量在安全的情况之下去参加各式各样的活动，然后去找你的父母长辈聊天，去了解他们一些成长历程，因为只有你去尝试过后，你才会知道你喜欢这个东西还是你不喜欢。那各位如果是大学毕业，我会建议其实你不用那么急着去念硕士，你可以先去工作，然后尤其是申请美国的学校，他们非常看重你其实是有一些基本的工作经验。所以你可以先去做很多 part-time job，如果很多公司、科技公司，或是像我知道台湾有 Microsoft、Intel、Google，他们其实有很多 internship program，你就想试着去申请，然后你进去以后，你就会知道这种可以学习大公司是怎么是怎么工作的模式，然后看你如果你是对行销有兴趣的话，比如说你可以先做那个测试，你觉得你就是一个比较outgoing 的人，你可能对行销啊，或是公关啊，或是办活动，就是可能特别适合你。但是如果你比较喜欢，就是在家里坐在电脑前，然后做一些演算啊、算术的话，可能你就是可以当个software engineer。所以很多东西，我觉得就是你要透过各式各样的资源，然后去了解你自己，然后你喜欢什么，不喜欢什么，然后你再去做所谓的跨领域的尝试，因为唯有你知道，你才知道你要选什么嘛。就是你不要乱枪打鸟，就是这个是最忌讳，这 career path 里面是最忌讳，你就乱枪打鸟。你乱枪打鸟可以啦，但是我不建议太长啊，可能就是早期的时候，但是你就不要一直换工作，然后你要有系统的换工作，然后确定你喜欢什么，然后再去下一个工作。
谢谢学姐。那最后还有一个问题是在学姐的演讲过程中有提到 volunteer 的部分，那我们也想好奇，就除了说是美国比较重视这个方面的，就是当 volunteer 的经历之外，有什么动机让学姐想要去做这个东西？
我觉得就是因为在 COVID 的时间真的很无聊，然后实在不知道要做什么事，那所以那时候我就在家就上网，因为你又不想要花钱，那你要在一个安全的环境，就是我每次做任何尝试之前，你要先分析所有的情况。好，那所以我是在台湾，然后你又不花钱，你又要能在安全，然后你又可以能控制自己，什么时候想参加，什么时候不想参加，然后又可能简单的又不需要动大脑，因为有时候工作很累，你只是想要就是不用用大脑去做一些事情。那我就想说，哎，做义工很棒。 因为其实这是我讲的，就是在美国是很看重义工的，所以其实很多公司有事没事就会寄一些volunteer 的一些讯息啊，会告诉你说哪个 location 需要 volunteer， 可能是照顾流浪狗啊，可能是去 Peace Corps 去做什么事情，或是这个所谓的 food bank 食物银行去做一些 package 这样子，而且他们很爱搞那种部门之间的 competition， 就是谁的 volunteer working， 谁的volunteer hours 最多这样子。然后我就想起来说，我家附近有一个那个 Second Harvest in Silicon Valley， 然后我就开始了去做，然后它是很自由的，就是一个礼拜看你想要去几次就几次，然后一次大概就是2个小时，然后会很累，因为有时候是搬西瓜。有时候是包冷冻机，所以就是很 bloody， 然后或是有时候是那个把坏掉的洋葱拿出来，所以你结束以后你全身上下都是洋葱味，但是其实就是好玩啦，然后可以交朋友，像我就认识的一个比我年纪大的朋友，然后我们就是有事没事都会出来聊天啊，然后顺便练英文嘛，因为他是白人美国人这样子，所以我觉得那个动机最主要是因为我不想要一直待在家，我需要出门，我不能一直待在家里，然后我要找可以免费练习英文的机会，那我就觉得volunteer 是一个很不错的选择。
了解，那想问一下，过程中有什么更是比较深刻的故事可以跟我们分享吗？就除了什么搬西瓜，或者是包冷冻机这样，比较让你印象深刻的。
我想一下，印象深刻的，应该就是包冷冻机吧，因为其实大家都不想去做，然后又很重，然后因为那个机是完全 frozen 的，所以它很冰，然后它又不会给你太好的手套，你就是多戴好几层，可是你手还是会很冰，然后所以冷冻机讲真的，我只做过一次，然后我就没有再做。然后另外一场我记得印象很深刻的是玉米，因为美国那种玉米就是真的就是玉米有玉米须嘛，但他们通常因为运过来都是从农场，那很多公司会抖内这些食物，是因为他们可以减税，但他们寄过来就是一整个站板这样子，然后也不管你它是好的还是坏的，所以很多时候里面可能是一堆东西已经烂掉，下面就是很恶心，然后有那种我记得印象最深像是玉米或是那种比较软的水果，就是真的很恶心，就是都已经是长霉，然后很 smushy， 就是很软，然后你要去把它捡起来，然后把它丢掉。然后那个玉米就是你还要把它撕开，然后结果里面都是黑掉的，然后就是弄完，其实你真的是会很脏很臭，但是我觉得，但是你就想着你是在帮助人，那这其实还有这其实有另外一个就是呃包装食物其实是一个，那你还可以选所谓去给食物给出去给真的需要的人，那我去参加过一次。那就是我把打包好，因为它就一箱算好，可能25磅这个重量，里面可能有各式各样的罐头、水果、蔬菜什么什么什么。然后到了周日的时候，会有很多 homeless， 就是可能无家可归或是比较贫穷的家庭，他们就会找一个很大的停车场，然后从大概早上8点就会大家都大排长龙。那我觉得印象最深刻应该是这个故事，因为你会觉得其实，在疫情期间会有很多需要的人，但是我觉得讲直白一点，就是你会看到很多人其实看起来不是这么贫穷，就是可能是一些贪小便宜的人，他还是过来领，然后也是领个一箱或3箱走。那我如果要领，我其实也可以混在人群里面拿1箱回家，可是我觉得这个时候你就会看到。不同的人种，不同的，我就讲保留一点，不同的人种，不同的 culture，他们在看这个东西的领取免费东西的时候，他们的心态是什么？那而且你会同时观察什么样子的人才会来领，这个都是你就会知道说，成功其实是从一个人的服装穿着，做事的方式，其实你就会慢慢看出来，所以。我要讲的就是，其实 不要有那种贪小便宜的心态，或是 take advantage people， 但是你要很有技巧的去做很多很多事情，只要你的出发点永远是善良的，是真心的。那我想讲的就是所谓的吸引力法则，就是你一定要相信你自己会成功，然后你要相信你帮助别人，有一天别人会来帮助你，但是这是一种无私的心态。那这就是为什么我要做 volunteer， 我从来不求回报，但是我一直认为我自己这一路走来是很幸运的，所以其实做 volunteer 也是可能平常有造一些孽，所以希望可以可以抵消一些孽障或业障。对，所以希望有回答到你的问题。
好，谢谢学姐的分享。那不知道线上跟现场同学有没有其他问题想要问呢？
好，那我想要提问，
好，老师。
就是从公关公司因为公关公司刚刚听到有些什么可能是精品啦，这一类的客户，然后之后进入科技业，我想问一下，就是说为什么后来会把科技业当作是后来市场的主力？那从华硕之后，好像就蛮自然的，就是往 Intel 或 NVIDIA 这样子一路走下来。所以最初进入科技业的契机是什么？然后第二个想问的是说，今天早上在听新闻的时候，听到台积电的资本支出大幅的降低，我们也都知道科技业最近的股票的下跌 ，NVIDIA 包括在内。那所以你们身在这个业界里面，会感受到这种科技业的所面临的这个风暴吗？
好，回答您的第一个问题，我觉得契机应该就是从公关业跳到我第二个工作是在那个三德电子，就是 Sander Electronics。我记得很清楚，我那时候在公关界做了一阵子之后，我很讨厌。这个就是我北讲，这我很讨厌，因为我说为什么你要去尝试？你会知道，你不一定会知道你喜欢的，但是你会知道你不喜欢的。那我就知道我不喜欢跟媒体打交道，因为他们有时候很demanding，那有时候态度可能会不佳，然后做精品公关又是所有公关界里面最糙的，然后通常做比如说运动公关会比较简单一点，因为都是一些大哥们这样子。那或是做一些电玩的公关就很轻松，或是一般的那种consumer products 都会比做精品公关来的轻松很多，所以我就知道我不喜欢什么，因为在公关界我就有机会接触不一样的industry 和领域，我会知道我喜欢什么不喜欢什么。那我在那之间我有跟Nike 合作过，我其实有跟 HTC跟 OSIM 就是那个按摩仪，然后我就发现其实我好像对科技比较有兴趣，因为第一我觉得科技业就是它很新颖，因为它都走在时代的尖端，那他们的那个领域的人就很好相处，然后他们不会又太 casual， 但是又不会像精品公关这么跋扈。那我就觉得，诶，好像科技这个部分好像还不错。那我就因缘际会反正我就因为不想要太这么累，然后我就离开了公关公司，然后来到宜兰的这个电子公司。那因为我对这种 project management 我就一直很有兴趣。然后我想说，哎，好，我既然能 manage project 跟 event， 那我应该可以 manage product 吧。反正我那时候其实也不是非常清楚 LED 是什么，我根本不知道什么电容、什么正极、负极、什么电池，我什么都不知道。然后我就进去了。这就是我说你年轻的时候可以做这些事情。然后我进去以后就发现，哦，原来这就是所谓的 PM，因为我知道在台湾有非常非常多 PM。然后我再进去以后，就认识了，就补充很多科技知识，知道什么电路板，然后产线的流程，你要弄胶起，你要做所谓的泵表，你要去抓那个 margin，你要去做很多跟科技，然后跟这种客户的negotiation，然后谈交期、谈价钱，然后我就觉得我很喜欢，我很 enjoy。 那所以我觉得这个就奠定了，我觉得科技业就是我要的。那只是可能我不想要走到产线，但是我还是喜欢就是同时有很多不同的 project 进行的那种感觉。那所以到美国之后，我就想说，我还是要继续在可能做活动这个领域里面经营，但是就是会在科技业，所以这个就是我的转换。那您的第二个问题，哇，这个是 it's a loaded question。对，因为其实现在就是整个大环境非常不景气。那我觉得从 COVID 开始是这样，就是大概去年，因为大家都太开心了，就在家上班，然后疯狂的买了很多电脑和科技产品之后，然后所有的这种做科技产品的也非常开心，就大量投资生产，然后结果现在造成的就是 inventory， 就是你的库存太高。那库存太高以后，然后结果又偏偏遇上就是俄乌战争之后，那所有的原物料上涨，然后大家就会变得不想花钱，因为你的景气不好，你就会开始想省钱，但是你现在又有库存过剩的问题，那它就会影响到它这是整个供应链，就是产业的 ecosystem 生态系统，就是你客户不买，你没人买，那你所有东西就会开始。就是就是变成呆账，就是滞留在仓库里面。那但是我们还是要赚钱，但你不卖做 hardware 最糟糕的就是你就是要有人买东西，因为它就是一个实体的东西，你不买那你就是没有钱赚。那所以这就是影响了，所以它就是一个整个生态系统。因为我们Intel 也会跟台积电买一些就是晶片嘛。那台积电我知道它是护国神山，它应该还是永远会是护国神山一阵子。然后因为它的技术是短期间内很难被美国其他各个其他国家所取代的。但是一样，因为台积电的客户也是像我们有很多其他美国公司，那所以我们卖不出去，那就会影响到台积电的销量，因为我们就会砍订单。那所以台积电当然也就没有生意做，然后再加上Intel 或是三星，我们现在大家都在疯狂的盖晶圆厂，那其实这就会造成一个更大的问题，就是供过于求，所以才会连带整个的景气，然后再加上俄乌战争，所以就是一个 you never see the end of tunnel
谢谢学姐所不藏私的分享。那我们最后就用热烈的掌声，谢谢我们今天的讲者。
谢谢大家。
其实我们时间还有，所以
对啊，其实如果还有时间，我可以再回答一两个问题。如果大家还有兴趣想要多了解的话，在大合照之前，
我刚刚的手势是说over to you， 就是请主持人继续问的问题。他以为我的意思是说差不多结束，抱歉。
没事，我想。
哦，那个还是有那个之前 Austin 有播，还是 Mandy 有播一些问题，我可以回答一下，我大概讲解一下。
哦，那个是下午硕士
哦，
班。
那是硕班的是不是？哦，OK， 好。
那不然我问一个我自己的问题。
好啊，可以啊。
那像是学姐，像是 Intel 或 NVIDIA，他们的业务也蛮多，有对公司端也有对客户一般 consumer level 的产品。那请问学姐帮他们做活动的话，是哪方面的比较多？
你这个问的非常就是很厉害，就表示你懂。但这个呢，应该是说我们大部分的客户 customer 还是所谓的 B to B， 就是 business to business 会比较多，因为毕竟Intel 我们还是卖晶片。那各位不在场很少会真的是说比如说去灿坤说我要买一个晶片。那除非你是自己把那个 PC 整个组装起来的那种人，可能才会说我要买一个记忆体，或是我要买一个晶片。那所以大部分我们做的活动是 for B2C 就是 to consumer， 所谓的 consumer 就是 end user， 那就是真正最终端的使用者。我们还是会办这样的活动，但他们不会是我们的重点，因为我们会办这些活动，最主要是打我们的知名度，然后让大家知道说，哦 ，Intel 还是有在可能经营 gaming 电竞的市场啊，或是我们还是有在 creator 或就是专门做一些创新发想的产业。那重点我们比较不会在那边卖东西了，因为它不会是我真正能花钱掏出腰包、掏出荷包的人，因为我们在做真正生意的那些 customer 呢，我们都是几个 million 在谈的。那所以，但我们不会放弃就是 B2C 这一块。那 B2B 办活动的话，它就会比较简单，但是最主要就是会说，我们就会说哦，那我们一定要签几张单子，我们一定要有generate 几个 leads， 所谓 leads 就是你要有几个收到，可能就是几张名片的意思，你有多少的 potential 的生意可以做成，这个就是所谓的 leads。那这个才是我们比较重要的，因为那个真的就是有机会让老板跟可能各个其他的公司坐下来谈，可能接下来我要几个 million 的产量，然后或是你们有其他，或是 Intel 有其他的一些 software 一些科技或是软体可以帮助公司。不管是在做一些云端啊，或是 AI 啊，或是这种 Web3 这种有各式各样其他的软产品，就是soft 的产品，可以帮助公司做一些更有效的开发，或是可以减省预算这样子。那所以通常办活动就是 B2C 或是 B2B 这两种。那 Intel 这边是我们都做。
好，谢谢学姐。那我就问最后一个。那像 Intel 主要的竞争对手是 AMD 嘛？那你们的 marketing strategy 会不会因为 AMD 譬如说他们推出他们现在是 Ryzen 7000，那你们的策略是要怎么应对之类的？
嗯，这个有做很多功课哦，还是你是 AMD 派来的？对，因为现在 Intel 的确是比较困难的原因，是因为越来越多人，比如说像 NVIDIA 跟 Apple，都有在做晶片嘛。那 Intel 最近也开始做 graphics card，就是图片运算的技术。那所以英业达也变成我们的竞争者。那 Apple 因为他自己开始做晶片，所以他也变成我们的竞争者。那回到你的问题，跟 AMD。是的，这是因为现在 AMD 的市占率，尤其是在电竞的产业，是一直在吃掉我们的这个 market share。但是我觉得，这就是相辅相成啊，因为其实我们不想要，你到最后就是一个产业，你不能一家独大嘛，因为你一家独大，以美国来说，你就会开始有各式各样的 regulation 跳出来了，所以其实你不想。就是所谓的就是垄断这个市场。那 AMD 的话，我觉得我们有不同的策略，因为他们是很认真在耕耘电竞，那但是他们对于其他的 B2B 的比如说云端5G，然后这种还有什么，就是一些作业系统，就是比较 B2B 那一端是还比较弱，他们还不成熟，因为他们毕竟还是比较晚。那可是毕竟我觉得就是我们 Intel 的策略是有一直在调整，的确是为了来对付AMD， 因为它的确就是他们的策略是有效的，尤其是在电竞。那我们这边其实内部的确是有在做很多不一样的检讨或改进，然后去针对各个不同的劲敌有做不同的策略或操作，然后但只是现在真的景气很不好，所以其实这个是需要很长时间你才能看到成果，不是你现在有这个策略 strategy 出来，你下个月就马上卖的比他们好，这是不可能的，所以这是会比较辛苦的，因为现在每一个情况，每一个month 都在变，然后我知道 AMD 最近也下修他们的那个 revenue 嘛，所以就其实这个影响是 是很难讲啊。那我觉得就是这个就是到最后就是百家争鸣，但最后鹿死谁手很难说。
我还想要再问一个问题哈。
好，
我们在台湾哈有一些 YouTuber， 他们我记得有一个节目哈，他们就找了，比如说在美国的 Facebook、Google、FB、Apple，任职的人，那当然就是华人面孔，的年轻人，然后来让他们说各自的公司各有些什么好啦，比如说 bonus 怎么样啊，package 怎么样啊。那刚刚在学姐的演讲当中，你提到 NVIDIA 的时候，我觉得你好像蛮想去那边的，所以你会说后来中箭落马了等等的。所以当时你怎么样看待这些科技公司？你怎么样来权衡说每一个的优缺点或它的 bonus、它 package 等等？这职涯上怎么样选择？
老师果然是观察入微的人啊。对，因为我觉得我很幸运，我在华硕的时候，我有机会，其实跟各个大厂商工作。反而到了 Intel 我就没机会。我在华硕那时候，我同时跟NVIDIA，然后 Microsoft、Google，然后 Intel、AMD，就是所有我们的partner 合作，因为我们要跟他买就是 component 嘛。那所以其实我同时有机会看不同的公司，他们的文化，他们每个人的跟你 email 的应对方式，还有他们提供你一些资料的时候，是不是很有系统的？是不是大家都很准时的？那他们的人是不是都很有礼貌的？这些其实都是你可以慢慢观察。然后过了一阵子，我就发现，哎，其实我会很喜欢 NVIDIA，因为有很多原因啦。因为第一个，其实他们的老板人娟生黄是台湾人，他是一个台南人，然后他就是非常年轻有为，然后从年轻的时候到了美国，然后就创业了 NVIDIA，然后才短短10年，他就已经变成一个非常大上市大公司，然后股价就是$300-400的那一种。那我个人是非常佩服他，因为我记得有一次在活动现场，然后是NVIDIA 的活动，然后他们的 CEO 就是Jensen Huang 出来讲话，但是他们要展示一个好像是一个很大的 PC 吧，然后是给工业用的，那结果他是要现场连线，但结果就好死不死那个 camera crew 就他们的人就怎么样都连线不到，然后那个东西很重。然后其实捐生晃从头到尾就是抬的，他没有架子，然后他就非常有耐心的等到那些 camera crew 把东西修好，然后还一直说，哎，有没有需要帮忙的？要不要我们先做？就是我觉得他非常非常亲切，他完全没有 leader 的那种架子，所以我就觉得这样子的 leader 是我很 appreciate，他是我想要 follow 的，他是我的 role model。然后而且他们的人在提供所有的资料都是做的非常，就是只是内部哦，他们寄给我们的 email 都是很漂亮、很整齐、很有条理，然后做的 slides 比我还漂亮，然后就是会觉得，哎，这样子我会被进去这种公司，我就可以被训练的很好。那所以因为这些种种关系和我的观察，我其实那时候是非常非常想进NVIDIA 的，然后再加上我知道 hiring manager 就是那些interview 的人，其实interviewers 我都认识，所以我以为我应该还有机会，但真的就很难讲。对，但是 NVIDIA 其实也是我觉得在科技业如果有机会进去，算是很不错，它未来发展潜力是非常非常好的。
谢谢学姐，谢谢。那我们最后再一次给学姐掌声，谢谢学姐。那我们想要跟学姐拍一个合照哈，
好啊。
那现在也在我们的大荧幕上，那我们会一起到你的前面，好，
好，
所以那你就在现场
我把
不用
书一下，好。